the Super Speedway.
Go tell him 77, he's done that same fucking move 10 times. I don't care if I wreck the whole fucking field, I'm over him. He's a fucking douchebag, I'm gonna wreck his ass.
10-4, love it. I'll let him know. Message relayed.
I don't give a fuck if he taps his roof like it's his fault. No shit, Sherlock.
I told you, Timmy. 77, absolute weapon.
I know, man. I don't know what we can do about it. I mean, we got a race.
No, he's just a moron. He just runs right in the back of you. Like, he has zero idea of like where to hit, where to bump somebody, where not to. He's swiping across my bumper as he's doing it. He just has no idea. He's been the whole race.
Welcome to episode 350 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, Carson Hocevar was popular this weekend.
Yeah, he was. You put a compilation together. I love it.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time also on Chastain's radio, hoping there was something there, but I couldn't find anything in time to pull it for the show, so...
No, you got the good ones.
Yeah.
You got the ones. You did miss Frankie Muniz singing Creed. Which that was good too.
I don't have easy access to the Xfinity and Truck Series audio, but the Max subscription gets me the audio for the Cup Series, so
it's all you need.
Pretty easy to pull that stuff. There was some pretty good Kyle Busch stuff around that incident too, not related to Hocevar. So. Kyle's radio is always a good listen.
Yeah, he's made the opening intro twice in a row.
Yeah, he has.
Dang, 2 for 2. Nice work, KFB.
There you go.
I knew that one was gonna make the cut as soon as I heard D-bag used. I'm like, oh, I got a good feeling Eric's gonna pull that one.
Well, and I did it legit too, because we in our group it was shared the audio from like a Facebook post or whatever, and I went and I pulled it myself to make sure I had all the good stuff. So I didn't even cheat. I no shortcuts. I just went for it. So
I think Hocevar should take the absolute weapon and make that like a nickname or something. Like that's yours now, dude. You got to own it.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you want to jump right into it?
Hey man, where do you want to go? You want to talk about the winner for like 2 seconds, or do you want to talk about everything else?
Yeah, let's start with Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. Christopher Bell gets himself it was sort of a photo finish. It just happened in turn 3.
Yeah.
Fox was pretty quick to the call on this one, so they had it before NASCAR did. And it was a pretty easy call when the caution waved. And we're gonna talk about caution flags and officiating and all that stuff again, because why not? What else we got to do, right?
It's the most consistent thing in the sport right now.
Before we get to that, though, James, can I just ask you a question?
Hit me.
Is there a better track in NASCAR right now than Atlanta Motor Speedway? This, in my opinion, is the best product that we put on right here.
Yeah, I am still preferential to Kansas and Darlington.
The thing is those tracks don't give you 100% all the time. I
totally understand. I totally get it.
I listened to a good chunk of Dale Jr.'s podcast today, and he said it pretty much was from the drop of the green flag on the truck race to the caution flag at the end of the Cup race. Just all the way through. Everything was good.
I'm not going to fight you on it. I was very loud that I wasn't so sure about this from the start, and I'm going to take the defeat on that, because it's a great product.
It's the perfect blend, because it's not full chaos like a super speedway. We had wrecks yesterday in the Cup race, or on Sunday in the Cup race, but the Xfinity race and the truck race, I mean, there were crashes, but they were pretty. It wasn't Daytona and Talladega. It wasn't a demolition derby, right?
Yeah.
You can actually make moves. You can make moves on your own. It's basically what we used to like about Daytona before they repaved Daytona.
Yep.
And I think it's the absolute perfect product. And do I want them to make every track like this? No. But if they made a couple more like this, I don't think I'd complain either, because it just is a good show. And you can still race.
Yeah, I still would just leave this one alone as is. Like this one.
Then let's come back here. Let's just come back here 3 or 4 more times then.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's do Darlington 4 times a year and Atlanta 4 times a
Yeah.
year. Everybody would be happy. Yeah.
I mean, I love Darlington, and we raved about Darlington last fall, and obviously Kansas is excellent, but Darlington is a great race. But and if you're there in person, it's pretty amazing every lap. But
Yeah.
I've experienced Atlanta in person. I've experienced Atlanta on television, and it's just you're not bored.
No, it looks like what Speedway racing was
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's the feel you get. There's no off time for these guys. And Adam Stevens was talking about this post race, and something that I've really felt strongly about, and I know I've brought it up with you before, but he talked about how the stages were stretched beyond the fuel window, and said that really does mean something here, because the drivers are just all out consistently.
Right.
There's the problem that we've been having at Daytona is the fuel saving.
Right.
And it's almost like have stages played themselves out. I don't know if stages have played themselves out or if they need to be staggered a little bit differently, but I do think that helps this racing a little bit, because the drivers don't have a choice. They have to race, and they have to race from the green flag. It's NASCAR's 100% rule. Yeah. This is by far exceeding their 100% rule.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that I don't feel like the stages are what's hurting the super speedways. Daytona and Talladega. I don't think that's what's hurting them. I think what's hurting them, and again, Junior talked about this on his podcast, and he doesn't necessarily agree with the fact that the stages aren't the issue. He actually suggested maybe eliminating the cautions at the end of stages might fix the issue there. I disagree. What he talked about, though, is that since forever, we've run the packs at Daytona and Talladega. They run about 200 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
No matter what we've done, we've made adjustments, but that's pretty much the packs 10 years ago and today are 200 miles an hour. The difference is that the cars on their own are 10 miles an hour slower now than they were back then. Mm-hmm. And because of that, there's such a disparity between being on your own and being in the pack that you can't get out of the pack. You can't make moves like Junior used to do or Dale Sr. used to do. It's just not possible, and that takes the racing out of it, and that makes it to where if people are fuel mileage racing, you have to fuel mileage race. There's nothing else you can do. So I think if you could get rid of that gap, that might help Daytona and Talladega.
And I think, too, everybody has the same strategy.
Right.
Like, it's too much data that everybody has now, and they know.
Right. People are still figuring out Atlanta. They still don't know whether they want a high downforce or speed. You know, that's the other thing that helps it.
Yeah, exactly. And when you go to Daytona and Talladega, these crew chiefs, they know when the cautions are coming for the most part, you know, and then they can strategize around it. They know how much they need to save to get to a certain point to get the best, you know, possible position post pit stop, and then they're kind of all shooting for that. So
the best solution would probably be to draw ahead of time when the stage breaks will be, but don't tell anybody. It's in the tower. The tower knows. They throw the cautions when those stage breaks are.
Boy, that wouldn't lead to any additional controversies.
Right, but I mean you'd have to do something to where you'd almost like have to record. I don't know.
All of a sudden, Chase Elliott takes the lead.
Right.
Oh, there's your stage.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's the only way to fix that issue. But
I don't know.
The thing is with Atlanta is, and Junior's podcast did this a bunch, talked about Daytona too, and I don't want to focus too much on Daytona and Talladega because this is about Atlanta. But the thing that's cool about Atlanta is the fans enjoy the racing, and the drivers for the most part seem to enjoy it too.
Yes,
like the drivers aren't bitching about it like they do at the other two. Yep. So it's the perfect blend of everything, and I mean, dude, we were getting a 3-wide finish again this year.
Yeah, we were going to have it again. Yep.
It was coming.
It was right there for us, or it was going to be some variation of it. But yeah, it was there for us.
So let's talk about the caution, James.
Yeah, the big one. Yeah, the big caution.
Yeah, so the wreck on the backstretch. First of all, we had a wreck. Well, you go with last weekend and what happened. We had a wreck in the Xfinity race. They didn't waive the caution. And now we wreck in the Cup race, and immediately the caution comes out.
Yeah.
My view of this is, first of all, 100% right decision to throw the caution when they did. Fox did a terrible job of waiting to show the replay for like 15 minutes before they finally aired it. But once they showed the replay, you couldn't keep racing. There were cars everywhere. You could not ask the drivers to try and race through that. So the caution coming out was right. The problem is that it should have come out earlier in the Xfinity race. It's the consistency, as we talk about all the time. It's
consistency. Yep. Consistency is the word.
So the solution that I think is necessary, and I'm trying to think which podcast talked about this. It might have been DBC. You're going to hate this answer, but there's two ways to fix this problem. One, we just get rid of green light checkers. Let's just finish on the last lap like it's supposed to be. If the caution comes out, we just end the race. Or you do the ARCA rule from the old days. And if the caution comes out before you hit the start finish line, you start over and you do it again.
I got third option for you.
Okay, what's your third option?
Don't have it. Yeah, just don't have. Well, I don't know. I mean, I just want to go back to the consistency part.
Do you not feel let down though by what we saw?
I tweeted
NASCAR made the right choice, but you feel let down. So okay,
I feel let down, but
so do we want to be let down at every super speedway race because we're going to be, or do we want to just say if the caution comes out on the white flag lap, we do it again?
If I don't care what they decide, I just want to know like what's the call going to be,
right? Because
this has been the problem forever, and cautions are supposed to be for safety, but NASCAR themselves over the years have turned cautions into entertainment flags,
right?
And unfortunately, at the end of the race, when you need it for safety, you've got a fan base that is used to entertainment flags, not caution flags. So they don't even think about it. They're immediately frustrated, which I feel that frustration because I want to see the amazing finish, especially when the sport decides we're going to have a documentary and we're going to pump this place up.
Right.
And then you're going to get the moment. You've got the moment. Oh, there's the caution flag, race over. You know what I mean? It's so extremely frustrating. It's so extremely frustrating. And it's frustrating that it's the right call to make and you're still frustrated because you've been conditioned in a whole nother, like fans have just been conditioned in a certain way. We all have. We all have different expectations.
I think if we just started throwing the caution when the crash happens, everybody would eventually get used to it. Like we used to bitch about the fact that we had yellow flag finishes, but we'd bitch about it. We move on to the next race. It wasn't, we've got to change this. It was, well, that sucks, and we're pissed off about it, but we just go on to the next race.
Nobody ever talks about that Dale Earnhardt won his Daytona 500 under yellow.
Yeah.
It's just a great moment.
If at least we have the green light checker that gives us the opportunity to race back. If the caution comes out on the last lap, as much as it sucks, it just needs to be waived. And Kevin Harvick said he left the booth mad at Daytona after the race because they didn't throw the caution. And I can't disagree with him, James. If you're a driver, like you said, it's about safety. Ryan Blaney spun on the apron.
Yep.
And the caution came out immediately.
Yep.
So why would it not be a caution when cars are slamming head on into the wall?
And especially after what happened on Saturday night when you've got the flag being held that whole time and they're racing towards, disaster.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, whoa, you can't do that either. Well then
here's the other thing though. NASCAR said in the drivers meeting on Sunday.
Yep. Elton Sawyer came in
that they didn't do that correctly.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is that I've heard from 3 different people that were at that drivers meeting that have recited what was said differently. So none of them know what the hell he said anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Like I said, NASCAR needs to stop. Our job here in the podcast is to bitch about the stuff that they do. But NASCAR needs to stop listening to everybody and just freaking make the right decision.
Eric,
just stop listening to people.
Eric, are you familiar? This is more of a baseball term, but I think it applies here. I said on Sunday night, NASCAR has the yips. You're familiar with the yips?
I am, so but I'm drawing a blank.
So in baseball, I'll use a pitcher for example.
Yeah.
A pitcher will get on the mound and he'll maybe the best pitcher in the entire world, and he can throw 110 miles an hour. He can hit any pitch. He can throw a perfect curveball. He can throw a fastball. But if he has to throw over to first to get a runner out, he throws it into the grandstands or he throws it in the dirt. He cannot get it out of his head to make a very simple throw to first base. That's like one of the great examples of the yips.
Okay.
You have this great, magnificent pitcher, but he can't do the simple thing of just making a turn and throwing it to first base. NASCAR, when it comes to the last lap of every race, and especially speedway races, they have the yips. They don't know what to do. Stuff starts happening, and they're just sitting up there, frozen. I don't know if we should throw the flag or not, blah, blah, blah. And then you have controversy for 4 straight points-paying races. You know what I mean?
They're worried about the flack they're going to get on Monday.
They can't, can't make a decision.
You know how I know that they're worried about the flack that they're going to get on Monday?
Because they tell us.
Because they're so afraid of the way things are going to get spun that despite the fact that, by the way, this is my checkered flag this week, they have their own podcast.
Yeah, they have a podcast about it.
Where they defend the decisions that they make.
It's ridiculous.
They shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't. I mean, the podcast is great. I think the podcast is awesome. I love it.
But
they
no
need
NFL
to
referees
stop,
podcast.
They need to stop worrying about what everybody has to say.
Yeah,
NASCAR's in a great position right now. They're things are looking up right now. Ratings are up. By the sounds of things, sponsors are looking again. They stop.
I know they're cruising on a highway, and then they look at their phone and hit a telephone pole.
Yeah,
it's like exactly what they do every week.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. I can't. That
somebody just grab the phones of all of Elton Sawyer, of Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, everybody just delete their freaking X account.
Just turn Twitter off. For God's sakes, it's a cesspool.
Yeah.
I was fighting with people last week about Denny Hamlin and his comments.
Yeah.
Which I've been tending to agree with Denny lately, but now him and I are disagreeing again, so that's good. That means I'm on the right track.
All is right in the world then.
Dude, the fans, and also, I'll go here too. Fans don't know what the hell they want.
No, they don't.
They bitch if it's right. They bitch if it's wrong.
Yep.
I catch myself doing it.
Yeah.
I do it too.
We have a podcast to do it, James.
I know. I know. We platformed it.
Yeah.
We turned it into content.
Yeah.
Oh man, Eric, it's, man. When I thought of the yips on Sunday, I could not think of another better term, because I can just imagine somebody sitting up there with their hand hovering over a button, just with the shakes and the sweats, not knowing what to do. And maybe it's a group of like 12 of them just standing around a giant red button.
Yeah.
If you want to visualize it, what do we do? I don't know.
You know why David Hoots was a great race director?
Why?
Because he was freaking consistent.
He was consistent. That's right. Put it out.
Yep.
I don't know why. It doesn't.
They know it. They know it.
I know.
They talk about it in a damn podcast.
I know. And I know, guess what else? I bet you they're disappointed that the race didn't finish the way that they hoped it would, because it was going to be another all-timer. So those guys had to be bummed.
That's the thing, is the guys in the tower should not be thinking about entertainment, period.
No,
that's not the tower's job, is to think about the entertainment aspect.
And maybe they don't. And I could be speaking out of pocket there. Maybe they don't. But to me, I don't want to listen, man. I don't want to ever be in their shoes, because that's a thankless job. You'll never get it right.
Yeah.
Being an umpire, being a referee.
I think it would be fun to be up there.
Well, that's you.
Yeah.
But
I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, I
don't want the criticism.
No, I can mope and groan and complain all I want, but you put me in that pressure cooker,
right?
I guarantee you, I'm probably I tell you what, I'd be so scared. I'd probably be scared consistent.
Well, I'd tell you what, I would second guess.
I'd be throwing that caution probably too much.
I would second guess every decision I made up there, 100%.
Yeah, but that's again, but that's why some of these guys are really good at their job, though.
Yeah.
Because they have to you have to move on from it, and you have to show up next week.
Yep.
But the problem is,
you know what the biggest problem is you got 2 super speedways back to back. That doesn't help you.
It does not. It does not. It absolutely does not. And that's part of the bigger problem, bigger picture problem of the whole thing. You've got these races and these types of races, dude. They are a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And that's not
And
just
now
for the
there's
drivers.
6 of them, not 4. There's
yes,
6.
but you throw them back to back like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just leading to a bad look for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And again, I just think when you've got that high of a pressure cooker and you're too aware of what everybody's saying, because that's every sport now, unfortunately. Everybody knows what everybody's got to say.
Social media is the greatest thing in the world and the worst thing in the world.
You're gonna make mistakes. And honestly, you know what's funny is
we're sitting here talking about it and they didn't make a mistake.
No, they made the right call. Yeah. And that's the thing though, but
they made the right call.
But every week in the NFL, every Sunday, there's 100 mistakes throughout the games. The games, there's mistakes all over the place, and we just have learned to live with it and we accept it. It's hard in NASCAR because the mistakes, there might be 1, there might be 2, but they're massive.
Mm-hmm.
They are massive. And in this case, you make the right call and everybody's pissed at you because, damn it, we wanted the perfect finish. But the problem too is you're racing at a place where only this racetrack could have that type of situation. You know what I mean?
The thing is too, is we've also become spoiled that it used to be you'd get one of those types of finishes like once every 5 years, and now we get them every 3 or 4 races.
Yep.
So when you don't get it, you're like, man, I deserved that.
We're spoiled rotten.
Yeah.
Spoiled to the core.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great point. You nailed it, because last year,
which is a sign of that NASCAR is doing something right.
Yep.
Because it's that good.
Yeah. But it's, and it's also a sign that NASCAR has pressed the gas on the entertainment side of things. And for the most part, they're going to lean entertainment over sport.
Right.
Which it's funny for me to say that. I believe that 100% to my heart, that they were definitely pushing hard entertainment.
Oh yeah.
But they made a right decision.
Yeah.
They made the anti-entertainment decision on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, again, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Make the right call, make the wrong call. You're going to get your ass chewed on the back end, no matter what.
The biggest thing with this is you want to throw the caution because you don't want drivers racing through a crash scene.
Oh, and you want to get the safety guys out there.
Well, that's what they do. But you don't want helpless cars sitting in the middle of the track while other people try to race by them. The problem is if you are inconsistent about when you throw the caution, even if you throw the caution right, nobody's slowing down because they're not expecting you to do it.
And another example, I bet this is me guessing again, but let's say that Chris Buescher type of accident happens on the last lap at the Daytona 500.
Right.
And we remember they let William Byron and Tyler Reddick race to the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you flip-flop those crashes, and that Ryan Preece crash is the final caution.
Right.
They're not racing to the line.
No.
NASCAR's immediately throwing the caution.
Yeah, when tires come off the ground, they've that is a consistency thing.
Yes, they do not mess around with cars that get airborne.
Yeah.
They immediately go. But even so, Denny Hamlin had a pretty bad hit in the third turn of the Daytona 500 on the last lap. That's a pretty nasty hit.
Yeah.
And they let those guys race to the line anyway. So, I mean, again, like,
just throw the caution.
I don't envy.
Throw the caution.
I mean, we should, yeah, I know it's
I
hard
would
to say
rather, I would honestly, as much as I want to see the race finish, and I'm all like, dude, I am all for the entertainment. Like, I'm good with NASCAR pushing to the entertainment, as long as it's still legit, as long as they're not rigging things and whatever. But I'm good with the entertainment factor. Just, I would rather they throw the caution, and they shouldn't have, than they don't and they should have.
Yeah.
So I would rather be talking about that car that didn't really spin and it shouldn't have been a caution than the car that wrecked in front of the field and somebody got hurt because they didn't throw the caution. So
and the bummer of it too is, like,
this is all Dale Jarrett's fault. It's all Dale Jarrett's fault, James.
It's all Dale Jarrett's fault.
If he wouldn't have parked in the middle of the track on the front stretch at New Hampshire, we'd still be racing back to the line.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, and the thing is too, like, we saw a really great race on Sunday, and we it's like our duty. We have this podcast. We have to talk about this.
Yeah, we just spent 20 minutes talking about a caution flag.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the finish. I want to talk about Carson Hocevar's day more, you know? Like,
Well, let's talk about Carson Hocevar then, James.
let's go for it. Well, congratulations, Christopher Bell, by
Yes,
the way. We only said his name once.
yeah, Christopher Bell gets the win.
Led one lap. Congratulations. He made
Yeah.
the playoffs. Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah. And that lap was under caution. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Carson Hocevar, man, what can we say about Carson Hocevar in this race, James? What are your thoughts on Carson Hocevar in this race?
Oh, boy. Yeah, I know you've been waiting for my thoughts.
I have.
I understand why drivers are mad.
Mhm.
I really do. But that dude worked his way into position to win.
I'm
doing what he did.
So glad you're saying this. Keep going. Keep going.
No, I know where this is going. But here's the thing. He knows it, and he's aware of it, unlike some other person that you're going to mention.
I don't know. It sounds really familiar.
It does. Well, the driving style sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, I
think the
being
awareness
aware
is
of
a
it.
little
I think
different.
the awareness is pretty much there too.
I don't know.
It
don't know.
seems pretty similar to me.
I listen, if I was a competitor of Carson Hocevar, I'd be furious with him.
Yeah.
But I think he's just a young driver making a lot of mistakes.
Are
you know?
you just Homer right now? Are you just cheering for him because he's a Michigan boy?
No.
Just cheering for him because you stood next to him on the front stretch at Berlin during the SRX?
He's pretty tall.
Yeah, he is a big dude.
He's a pretty tall dude.
Very tall dude. Yeah,
No.
I don't remember what podcast, but they said some people are gonna have to get a step stool to argue with him.
You know what's funny about it too this week? So he does this on Sunday, right?
Right.
And the whole week the conversation was, "Oh, we miss Ross Chastain. He hasn't been the same, blah blah blah." Well, if you miss Ross Chastain and you miss what he used to be, and you're bitching about Carson Hocevar, I can't help you.
Right.
I can't defend you.
I just think it's
you
funny
have
that
it. You have the solution right there.
I just think it's really funny that people that were openly critical of Ross Chastain are now fans of Carson Hocevar for the same reason.
Yeah, you could be critical of his driving. I have no problem being critical of his driving. He drove like a well, I can't say. There's certain words I can't say. He drove like a D-bag.
Yeah.
As Kyle Busch said.
But
Eric, I also can't argue with the results that say that dude busted his butt through that field, and
he almost
if
won
that
the race.
caution, if that caution is held for 5 more seconds, he's your race winner too. So
yeah, it's hard to say coming off of 4. I feel like Larson
there was
would have
going to
gotten
be a
him.
lot more contact.
I feel like Larson had him coming on the line, but if the yellow came out in the middle of 3,
had so much momentum coming into the middle though.
Yeah, but if you watch that race on Saturday in the Truck Series, I know they're different vehicles, but Larson, if Larson knows how to play the draft, which you assume he does, I mean, he doesn't have a lot to show for it, but he's a better driver than his results show.
Yeah.
I think he can play that draft on the inside and maybe pull Hocevar back to him.
I'm not so sure that Bell doesn't even pick up some more momentum off the corner either. I don't think he was out of it. But again, I don't know. Hocevar scrubbed so much speed off of those guys coming in there because he shot Bell into the corner like a rocket.
Right. See, that's what I feel like. But Bell's going to lose the momentum, and you got those two still with the momentum. But you just don't know what's going to happen.
He was already losing momentum.
That turn.
Well, yeah, and you don't know how hard left Bell's going to turn into those guys either. You know, there's a whole lot of unknowns. I wish we could have seen it. I really do.
Yeah. So my opinion, freaking Carson Hocevar, man, can I have like 10 more helpings of that? We need this. Honestly, the only difference between him and Chastain to me is that I don't think Carson Hocevar can be a bad guy. I think his personality.
I don't know. I think people. Yeah.
I think his personality is likable, whereas Ross Chastain could have been the bad guy.
Well, here's the thing that always bothered me about Ross, because Ross would do the who, me? I don't know. I didn't do anything. I think I was fine. Carson was like, yeah. I mean, I was overly aggressive. Yeah. You know, that's the difference. But that's the difference for me. But again, I'm not. Listen, man.
So
there's times where I'm willing to praise Ross, and there's times where I'm willing to dig at him, and I'll do the same to Carson if it keeps up.
So Carson is getting blasted. Why are people not all over Larson for his contact with with who the hell did he put in the wall?
Oh, he put Cindric in the wall.
Cindric,
I've got a comment. I've got a comment for that.
I mean, I think that was vintage Kyle Larson right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, he kind of dennied.
And
Austin.
then you talk about playing the oh shucks did I? That was his post race interview. I guess it was probably my fault.
Did you hear what he told? Did you hear what he told Corey LaJoie on Stacking Pennies? So he said he couldn't get in contact with Austin. He said he wanted to talk to him, and apparently Austin walked up to Larson's manager and handed him a business card, and he goes, "Hey sir," he was like super polite. And he goes, "Hey sir, at some point this week, I would just like to, see if I can get Kyle on the phone and talk to him a little bit."
Oh, geez.
And Larson's like, "I love that. Is that not the most Penske thing you've ever heard?" I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right." Now, I will say, not to defend Larson by any means, because I think Larson's move, not that it was dirty, but it was like overly aggressive.
No, it wasn't a dirty move. I don't.
No,
think
it was just overly aggressive.
It was the end of the freaking race.
Yeah, but Austin Cindric, the victim here, did the same thing to Ryan Blaney when he won his Daytona 500.
That's
so
true.
He pushed him right up into the fence. I think it's just something that happens here, and I think I won't say Larson made a mistake, but I definitely think he probably thought he was clear, or at the least part said, "F it, I'm taking the spot."
Right.
Which that happens on these racetracks.
Yeah,
that's going to happen a lot.
Yeah. Things happen fast. I mean, it's.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean,
my experience with Atlanta Motor Speedway is playing on a Nintendo Switch. And the only NASCAR game that is playable that has the track in it.
NASCAR 25 is coming though.
Yeah, I know. Oh. And that's tough enough. Like I can't imagine actually doing it with how fast things happen there. Yeah. So I give him a pass on that, but I did think his interview was pretty funny afterwards.
Yeah, that wiped out my fan. Not to bring my fantasy team. Nobody wants to hear about fantasy teams, but my fantasy team was like looking stout.
Yeah,
and it wiped out two of my guys. I had Cindric and Byron, and they were both gone. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I took a few hits in this one. I
was having a good day, and I had McDowell, and I benched him because he was having an issue for Zane Smith. I was like, oh, Zane Smith's having a pretty good race. All of a sudden, McDowell's up there at the end. I'm like, what the? Where the hell did he come from? 6 laps down, he makes it back to top 20 or whatever the heck he had.
So how about those Penske cars though? You talk about Cindric.
They're fast, man.
Cindric is freaking becoming a great super speedway racer.
He's really good at this craft. Yeah.
Joey Logano led a ton of laps in this thing.
Byron was up there all day again. I know, not saying he's a Penske guy, but like looking at the Daytona 500, like all those guys were there. Yeah. Stenhouse was there.
Blaney only led 1 lap, but coming through the field on the tires. That's another thing about this.
Oh, that was incredible. Yes, we should mention that.
I think this is a very overlooked thing about this track, and I think Goodyear deserves a ton of credit because they brought a tire to Atlanta. First of all, it's a high-speed track, so this is the type of track they would bring hard-as-a-rock tires to that don't wear out. They brought a tire that put rubber down in the corners. You could see the rubber. I mean, it was incredible, the rubber you could see in the turns. And it would wear out, but not to the point where if you didn't put tires on and somebody else did, you were just toast. But enough to where there was a tire advantage and you could move back through the field like Blaney did at the end. Yeah. I think it was the perfect combination of tires. You could still make a 2-tire pit stop
and the track
succeed.
The track is super abrasive. It looks like now too. I mean, that thing is wearing out fast. And that was the other thing about this race too, is, going into the weekend, I saw pictures of the surface. I'm like, damn, this track is, And even Dale Jr. said, just let him run it now. Take the rules package off and just let him race.
Yeah.
That was going into the weekend. Now minds have changed. Hindsight's is what it is.
Right.
But I was like, man, the pack might start to break up a little bit if they don't. But no. It's just fine. Leave it alone.
It's perfect. Just
yep.
Perfect.
Yep, it's like what do they say? Like a fine wine, right? It's aged into a fine wine right now. Just
leave
it alone.
I would almost argue the Xfinity race was a little bit better than the Cup race still.
Well, the Xfinity race usually puts on a good,
yeah.
Plus you got Austin Hill just dominating.
All 3 of these races were freaking incredible. Anything else about the Cup race before we move on to the other 2?
There was a couple of crashes that were just kind of bummers. Like Eric Jones got taken out early. Well, not so much early, but early enough, not towards the end of the race. There was the
Brad
Chase
Keselowski
Elliott
finished dead last.
Yeah, that was the Chase Elliott crash where he came he had ARCA brakes.
Yeah.
and that took him out.
Corey LaJoy, 38th.
Shout out to Chase Elliott though. He got her back going.
Yeah.
Broken toe link and all.
Yeah. Can somebody just sit these guys down and explain the DVP policy to them?
Oh my God! Everybody's screaming at the
So
they
tired.
don't know the rules.
So tired. They don't push you back anymore, guys. They tow you if you can't
can't
move,
drive it, you're
they
getting
tow
towed.
you to the work area. Period.
Yep.
Done.
Period. End of story.
Quit bitching about it. Jeez. So
Um,
tired of it. Speaking of Penske cars, Josh Berry, you're probably
I was
I
just
think
gonna
you're
say,
going
that
there.
was the next point I was gonna say. Josh Berry was really good.
Yeah, 56 laps led. I mean, he was a contender for sure.
Won a stage.
Yep.
He was really good.
Yeah, definite contender. A lot of drivers led. What do we have for lead changes? I'm looking for it. 50 among 15 drivers. Not too shabby.
Yeah, the list on the lead changes is ridiculously long.
We had that. I mean, we had the slingshot. They could slingshot each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was
Gotta
good
get
stuff,
a run.
man.
Yep, get a run. I know they've got it. It's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave that place alone now. It's
Yep.
good.
Yep. 100%.
I tell you what, I take back a lot of things I said early on about that. I was so skeptical early on, and man, do I have to eat it on this because she really is a perfect place right now.
All those years ago, they talked about doing this to California. Can you imagine had they done it and made it work?
Kind of wonder if Michigan's ever eyeballed it again.
I mean, they've got to, right?
I mean,
right now they've got a pretty good thing going. That track's finally coming into its own. So I hope they leave it alone. Yeah. But I mean, if they were going to,
this car race is so good.
The problem with Michigan though, is Michigan's almost, I wonder if Michigan's too big and if you'd end up more like Daytona or Talladega.
It would end up like, because it's 2 miles.
And
it's
the corners
so
are still
wide.
a lot tighter than Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, the width too, for sure.
The sweeping, yeah.
Well, you would really lose some of the width though to add the banking. That's why Atlanta lost width.
Yeah, I think Michigan too has the really tight exit off of 2. Like it gets really It gets really touchy.
Yeah, it'd be.
But I think they've got it. Michigan's good. I fell for a tweet earlier last week that said Kansas was looking at.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that account's deleted.
I was leaving it alone, and then I realized it was a joke, so I was like, "Oh, I'll just leave it up there. Screw it."
yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, Daily
that
Downforce. It wasn't Daily Downforce. I was like, "Ah, crap."
Yeah, I saw that today. I was going to reference it because I was going to say, "Yeah, do it."
Yeah,
but no. I mean, Kansas doesn't need anything, but I wouldn't complain if they did it even there. So
no, I think we're good. I honestly let this be special. That's the other thing. We overdo these things when we get something good. Leave it alone. Yeah,
we've got a pretty good balance flow right now, where most of our tracks are pretty decent.
Good balance. Everything's good balance right now. Short tracks need to be fixed. Other than that,
they're working on those though. They're getting better.
They're trying.
Goodyear's
bring another
helping.
soft tire to Phoenix. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Let's see. Trying to see. Wow, this stat sheet.
Any other race results you want to talk about? John Hurt Nemechek, another great day.
Yeah, good man. What the heck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're only 2 races in, and they're both super speedways.
Well, him and Eric Jones.
Yeah.
It was kind of goes back to our preseason prediction. I was like,
Yeah, but what they say on the teardown that he had basically close to the same average finish last year after 2 races.
Yeah, and Brad's actually ahead of the game from where he was last year.
Yeah, so
so we'll see. It's way too early. I'm not into postseason talk just yet.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we haven't had a real race yet, so
no.
10th victory for Christopher Bell, double digits for him. 182 Cup Series races for him so far. Highest finishing rookie Riley Herbst in 17th. 50 lead changes is a new track record. 15 different leaders, second most at Atlanta. The record is 20 set in 2022. And James, we didn't talk about this last week. Very important. The Xfinity fastest lap bonus winner.
Yeah,
I know you like that. AJ Allmendinger gets the bonus point in this one.
Well, he's probably going to get it again this week.
Yeah, it could be.
Those bonus points, AJ.
Could be. So there you go. There's Cup Series.
Are we going to keep track of that all year?
No. I mean, I'll mention it just because it pisses you off.
It's what's going to happen. What's going to end up happening is somebody's going to miss a cut in the playoffs, and we're going to go, oh wait, you didn't get that fastest lap.
Yep.
That's stupid.
When somebody misses it by a point, James.
When it eliminates Kyle Larson in the round of 12, I'm going to flip out. And then I'm going to laugh a little bit because he's the one who said, I don't care.
Yeah.
They did what?
Well, let's talk about the other two. We talked about how Carson Hocevar muscled his way through the field and angered a bunch of drivers to get a shot at the win and almost won. How about somebody doing the most masterful job of super speedway racing you've seen since probably Dale Earnhardt or maybe Tony Stewart?
That's it. That's the group.
KFB, man, gets the win in the Truck Series, the Freight 208. Just perfect last lap pass. He schooled him, man. That's all you can say.
It was beautiful. Good to see KFB back in victory lane.
Yeah, it was.
Been too long. He did tweet out that his NASCAR streak is at 22 years, so I think he's trying to do a thing again.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Well, whatever makes him happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. I saw
Stuart Friesen perfect.
Yeah, I saw he retweeted somebody, or it was I don't remember if it was Twitter or what social media it was, but somebody brought their kid to the race.
Yes,
Kyle
I saw
Busch
this.
fan, and
Yeah.
so they got the shout out after Kyle got the win. So very cool.
Nothing like seeing your driver win in person, man. It's
Yeah.
a special thing. Especially it doesn't matter if you're little or big, but
Yeah.
yep. It's beautiful. Love that. It's what it's all about, man.
Yes, it is. It hasn't happened many times for me, but I've witnessed it a few times. My drivers over the years. Yeah. I mean, anything else? I told you before we started recording, I was kind of getting as much as I could out of the two preliminary races.
The funny thing from this, I mentioned Frankie Muniz singing Creed, but the funny thing is they had Speedy Dry down on the backstretch.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
And the whole field was parked, and they Speedy Dried into their way.
What in the hell,
into the
man?
trucks. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
I was gonna pull that audio for the intro, but
yeah, it was like cat litter flying all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That was pretty brutal.
That's pretty terrible. Yeah. But other than that, this was a pretty tame race. Not too, there was the lap 73 crash, but other than that, status quo. Kyle Busch.
Good race though. Good action.
Howdy. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. Trucks always do a good job.
Yep. Chandler Smith can be scary in that 38 truck, I think, especially on the super speedways.
He's gonna rack them up. I would anticipate that's gonna happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's gonna happen. And who was the other one that I was looking at? Hemrick in that 19 truck too. I know he finished 16th here. I have a feeling that truck's always good. I have a feeling he's gonna rack some up here too. So
yeah. I was hoping Raja would have better show, but he'll get.
He was involved in something, wasn't he? Didn't he get?
Yeah, he was in that lap 73 crash.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got high hopes for him too.
Yeah, I'll come back to the truck race when I do my Black Flags.
All right,
I've got one more comment. I won't say it now.
I know where you're going, so I don't know what you're going for, but I know you hinted ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
Xfinity Series was in action after the Truck Series race on Saturday. And
speaking of Dale Earnhardt and Tony Stewart.
Yeah, speaking of a masterful job, Austin frickin' Hill, man.
Is he the best at this?
In the Xfinity car for sure.
Is he the best at this anywhere?
Well, he has officially led more laps than the Earnhardts.
And Stewart, he tied them in Xfinity Series Speedway wins, which I'm like, God dang it, dude.
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the other, but still.
I mean, to be fair, and Junior mentioned this, when he and his dad were racing, they didn't have Atlanta as a super speedway, and when his dad was racing, the Xfinity Series didn't race at Talladega either. So he doesn't have the opportunities that Austin Hill has had. But still, man, this kid, it's partially equipment. You've got to say that because Jesse Love has run really good too. And you can see the experience difference in that Jesse loses the lead and falls in the mid pack and doesn't get out. And Austin, well, I mean, he won Daytona, but Austin gets back in the pack and is right back up to the front.
So Austin Hill has won 11 times. Listen to this, Eric. He's won 11 times since 2022. Here are the tracks. I'm going to read them off. Daytona, Atlanta, Daytona, Las Vegas. That's one variable. Atlanta, Pocono. And then we go Daytona, Atlanta, Homestead, Atlanta.
I don't think he's lost in this configuration in Atlanta, has he?
He's also 2022. He went. Well, he only has one win in 2022, and then 2023 he won once at Atlanta, and then 2024 he won twice. He's won three. He's won 3 in a row. It looks like.
I know he won the one I was at.
Jesus, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How do you win? I know Denny says it's all luck, right? How do you win all
Denny's
these
so
Speedway
full of
races?
crap. That's the type of thing that somebody says when they can't do it anymore.
There you go.
I mean, seriously, Denny Hamlin isn't as good as he used to be on the super speedways, and of course it's luck then.
Yeah. It wasn't luck before. It sure is now.
It's not luck because it's the same guys up front.
Dude, I'm telling you, I know. You got to have yourself in position.
Yeah.
You need some luck, but you got to be there.
I mean, look at the guys up here. You got Austin Hill, obviously.
Yep.
Justin
Cup
Allgaier
race,
doesn't have the
same way.
finishes to show for it, but he's always up there. Eric
Eric
Almirola is a great, Xfinity driver, super speedway driver. Sammy Smith in a DEI car or a junior motorsports car. Nick Sanchez is in that 48, which is run up front.
Yep, that car's won.
Jeb
or
Burton's
been
good
close.
at super speedways. You got another colleague car with Daniel Dye in the 10.
Harrison Burton's up there.
Yeah, I mean, these guys,
Harrison Burton just won a cup race.
yeah.
Daytona.
I mean, yeah, it's not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. It's not luck, guys. It's real. And I'm not an Austin Hill fan, but props to this guy for doing this.
He just does it. It's ridiculous.
I mean, he's Kyle Busching Atlanta.
Yep.
You just show up and give him the win. The only way you can beat him at these super speedways is to have his car break.
Just make sure he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Lock him out. Yeah.
Put a hole in the rear end or something. That's all that does it. Jesus. What about Justin Allgaier? Let's say you are in Justin Allgaier's shoes, James.
Mm-hmm.
You are racing Austin Hill for the win in Atlanta, and your teammate's behind you, and you clear Austin Hill. Do you block Austin Hill, or do you stay with your teammate?
I would always block Austin Hill.
That's my thought,
but that's
right?
just because it's Austin Hill. Yeah.
Justin Allgaier stayed with his teammate, and it cost him a win. He probably still wouldn't have won.
Oh man.
Austin Hill probably still would have gotten him.
Man.
But it's another one of those things. Again, I said it last week. It's just like when Dale Jr. was winning these things. Like, why do you follow him? Why?
Yep.
Just
I know.
He can't do it on his own, so put him in the back.
I know. You gotta leave him alone.
Yeah.
It cost Tony Stewart a couple of shots at the Daytona 500 because he would team up with him and they would go together, and then when it would come to crunch time, those DEI cars were just on a rail and smoke would be left out to dry.
Yeah. Good for Austin Hill. He's in the playoffs, second race of the season after a disaster last weekend. Good for him.
The one that got away last weekend.
Right? Yeah, he'd be 2 in a row to start the season. If it wouldn't have been for the rear end.
It's freaking ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
There you go. There's your Atlanta Motor Speedway, James, until the fall.
Sweet.
Good stuff. A couple news items, not a whole lot, but couple Adam Stern things. First of all, the Clash expected to be at Bowman Gray again in 2026. I don't think this is a surprise, right? I know that they teased going to Brazil or whatever, but I think we kind of knew that we'd be back at Bowman Gray at least one more year.
It's too hard, to make that jump just yet. So yeah, it makes sense.
So good. I think that was a huge success. I think I'm excited for that. I'd like to see it stay there for good, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm good with moving it around too. So I love Bowman Gray. I love chaos. So works for me.
Yeah, I'm totally good with that, man. It's great.
And then Stern also tweeted out this afternoon, NASCAR is going to pay out drivers twice a year for their driver ambassador program, with the top performer from each segment to get around $1 million, and the bottom performer to get around $7,500. James had a pretty epic tweet today.
I'm glad you noticed that.
Oh, I did. Go for it.
I said lock Denny Hamlin in for that 7,500.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I saw some people complaining about, like, why would NASCAR do this instead of just paying to market the stuff themselves? We need the drivers to be pushing this stuff, and the drivers need to be rewarded for doing it. So here you go.
Yeah. That was. I mean, they need the drivers to participate. Yeah. Unfortunately, we got to have it. So.
Yep.
Eric, there's one news item we forgot, and I almost let it slip by me.
All right.
We went off the air last Tuesday, and there hadn't been much news out of Daytona. And then the hammer dropped.
Oh yeah, you're right.
On Chase Briscoe in the 19 car.
Yeah.
We did not talk about that. Massive penalty. And I am looking for the details if you give me just a second to filibuster.
Yeah, well, put me on the spot to filibuster. That's like the worst thing you can possibly do. Yeah, fill some time. No problem. Let me
fill time for me for just a second. I've almost got it.
Jesus,
almost got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. We went off the air and it hadn't been announced yet, right?
No, it was announced the next day.
That's the only problem with doing these Tuesday podcasts is we missed the Wednesday penalty report.
Yep.
So, but yeah, Chase Briscoe got the hammer dropped on him for sure.
Yeah, it was. Hold on. I believe it was. And this, I should have had this ready beforehand. My apologies.
I could cut all this out, but I won't.
Nah, we're fine. Everybody knows. So the penalty, almost have it here. It was a $100,000 fine, 100 driver points, and 10 playoff points, which knocked him down to what I think 67 points out of negative 67 points to start the year.
Yeah,
it's a level 2 penalty. They are appealing the ruling. It will be heard March 5th, so we're not going to know any results here for another week or so.
Yeah, it was modification of the spoiler, right?
Yep. There was they were bolts, apparently. They weren't the factory bolts, my understanding.
Okay. And speaking of penalty reports, I believe the Parker Kligerman penalty was upheld too, correct?
Parker Kligerman penalty was upheld, but the fans will never forget that he won that race.
Well, and the team seems to be arguing that it was a procedure problem and an error with the way the car was inspected. So
I don't like NASCAR's wording on that, where they said more likely than not.
Yeah.
More likely than not, it was manipulation. I don't like that word. I don't like that verbiage. Just say it was a penalty.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There's your penalty report. But yeah, Chase Briscoe gonna have to dig out of the. That's gonna be.
Yeah, that's
a season long.
I mean, get a win and you're in the playoffs, but it's still gonna affect you.
Yes, and this is the second time this has happened to him.
Yeah.
This happened at SHR as well. He had a big 100-point penalty. So we'll see. We'll see how the appeal goes.
There you go.
I don't know. We'll have more. We'll have more to announce on that when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it. And that's it for news at this point.
I don't see anything else coming through the line.
We've made it past the news segment of the show, and we're less than an hour in, so that's a new record for us now for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
So let's hop into our checkered flags, James. I'm going to start out because I already told you what mine is. Mine is the Hauler Talk podcast from NASCAR.
I was curious what your thoughts were on that because I wasn't sure if you were going to be a fan of it or not.
I like the inside look. And I thought they did a good job. I mean, obviously it's, it's coming from the inside. It's got the spin on it, all of that. But I think the problem that NASCAR has had in so many instances is that they don't respond. They don't respond to driver accusations. They don't respond to fan complaints. They just make changes. And this way they can actually defend some of the decisions they're making, talk about why they made them. I'm super interested in it. Like I said, I've sat next to race control at Michigan multiple times. I'd love to sit in there and see how decisions are made and see how it all works. So I'm down for anything that's behind the scenes and a look behind the curtain. I thought it was well done. I'm not always the biggest fan of Mike Ford's spin on things, but I thought he did a good job on the podcast.
Yeah, he was taking a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Last week too.
Overall,
by a lot of people.
I'll listen to it every week. I'm excited about it, and I'll call them out if they say something stupid. I don't have any problem with that, but I think, like I said, I think they did a good job of explaining things for Daytona. I think there were a lot of things that were talked about. Jason Hamilton, the race director, was on last week and did a really good job of talking about the decisions that are made in the tower and stuff that you just don't think about as a fan. So I hope people listen to it. I think it's a good inside look at things, and take it with a grain of salt. Again, it's like Denny Hamlin's podcast. You know the slant that it's coming from, so factor that in as you're listening to it. But it's a good inside look, I think. So there you go. Checkered flags, James.
I really like Brad Keselowski's consumer cellular commercials.
Okay, yeah.
Very good. Have you seen any of them yet?
I know that I saw the big thing last year with the convertible, but otherwise,
Okay,
I
so
haven't seen
they've
anything.
done so basically everything's half off.
Yeah.
So Brad's in the office with sleeveless shirts and
Nice. Oh,
short and cut off
oh,
shorts.
Cletus McFarland would be excited about those sleeveless shirts.
Yeah, Cletus McFarland would be a good fit for this. But everything's half off. Like coffee mugs are cut in half, and all this other.
That's
and
funny.
then they're in a meeting. The part that made me laugh out loud was they're in a meeting and Chris Buescher speaks up about an idea, and Brad looks at him and says, "Shut up, Chris." And it made me laugh out loud. I don't know why. I don't know why it made me laugh out loud. But yeah, look those up. RFK Racing's got a lot of that content.
Brad's the perfect guy for that stuff too, because he's,
yeah, and
he's just
they're
dry enough to.
Just dry enough, and they're selling flip phones now. That
Yeah.
are with Brad's
Saw
car
that.
and his face on them. So yeah. Anyway, those commercials were really good. They made me laugh. So
I don't know. My kids keep acting up. I'm gonna be getting them those flip phones.
Yeah, and I had one more shout out that
Yeah.
kind of is a podcast shout out, but Barron Speedway.
Yeah, I'm
sounds
glad
like
you
he's
went
gonna.
with that.
Yeah, sounds like he's gonna be featured. Something's gonna be featured with Dirty Mo.
Nice.
With the that just looked. I don't know. I was on Twitter and saw that they reached out to him. I was like, oh dang, he's made it.
Yeah, he's
done
gonna forget about us pretty soon.
will.
Pretty
He
soon
will.
he'll stop making his picks in the fantasy league, and we'll see it coming. And
Yeah,
he listens every week, so he'll hear this and respond to us.
Yeah,
So
that
can't
was
wait.
just cool, man. I was pumped for him. I was
Yeah,
just
that's
randomly on Twitter and saw the reply, and I was like, oh dang! And then they replied again. I was like, holy crap, dude!
Not only that,
That's
but he's
awesome.
refurbishing his track, and it looks so good already.
He's doing a great job.
So
Yeah. Just we're a fan of his, and he's been on here a handful of times, so it's just kind of cool to see like he got his baby out there to let the world see. I mean, it is the preeminent diecast racetrack.
oh yeah, there's not one out there that's as good as his.
No, he got the lights and everything. It's the best.
Yep.
So
Yep. Although I did see somebody point out today, he's putting the new walls in, and he doesn't have safer barriers. That is one.
Oh.
That's one thing where he's slipping a little bit. Everybody else has safer barriers on theirs, so
It's a short track, you know. They're not maybe not
probably all right. I don't know. NASCAR's pretty adamant about those safer barriers. They even have
but-
them at Bowman Gray.
He usually runs like the 04 diecast too.
That's true.
So
That's
true.
true.
He doesn't. Yeah, and he's doing a lot more late model stuff lately. So
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, we like to give Barron some crap, but if he abandons us and goes to the Dirty Mo way, I don't blame him. So
Yeah.
I would too, Barron. I would too.
Yep.
How about black flags, James? Any black flags this week?
Oh yes, here we go. Oh.
Can't wait.
Frankie Muniz, Malcolm in the middle. After the truck race, he's wrecked out and starts complaining about this, that, and the other thing. And the part that really irked me was when he said, "Nobody respects me out there. Nobody's going with me." And I threw my hands up in the air and yelled at my screen and said, "What have you done to earn any respect from anybody out there? And of course they're not going to go with you." Frankie, if you're listening to this, respect is not handed out. It is earned over time. You have to earn your respect. This isn't Hollywood, buddy. You're not going to just, get everything you want.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, this is big boy racing now. I know it's a truck series, but,
No, it's the big leagues.
maybe take a page out of Cletus's book, cut them sleeves off. You're going to have to earn it, buddy. It's no free rides out here.
Positive about Cletus.
I'm just, I couldn't believe, nobody respects me out there. Of course they don't. It's your second start of the year in the truck series, dude. Come on. Ugh. I'm trying, Eric, I am trying to be supportive that Frankie's in the series.
Yeah.
But he's that really tried my patience. Really, really tried my patience. Am I wrong? You've got to earn it, right?
No, you're not wrong. The only thing I'll give Frankie is it's the first time we've heard something like that out of him.
Ugh. Well, now he's a full-timer, so we'll see.
I mean, he has worked. I know he hasn't done it by winning, but he has worked his way into a truck series ride.
He's
So
earned
he's
the ride.
earned a little bit, but
He's
no,
earned the ride.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not.
If you had
You're
a
not
chance
wrong.
if you had a chance to draft, you're running in the pack, and you've got Matt Crafton there or Frankie. Of course, you're going to go with Crafton.
Right.
It's, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's another question. Now I'm in it. I'm trying not to be mean. We know more about NASCAR racing than Frankie does, right? By a lot. by a lot.
I don't know that I can say that. I would assume so.
I'm going to say it.
But, I mean, he's been a fan for years. He was at the 2001 Daytona 500, James.
He was there, all right. He was there.
I mean, I would argue that if you put me and Frankie Muniz in equally prepared ARCA cars, Frankie would kick my butt.
That's probably true.
He's got way more experience in a race car than I do.
That doesn't mean he knows more than me about racing.
Well, no, but does it matter what you know, or does it matter how you drive?
All right, put me in an ARCA car. Let's go. If Cletus can get a ride, I can get a ride.
Yeah, well, all you need is money.
And I got to talk like Ricky Bobby. I can do it.
There you go. Speaking of Cletus, James, did you listen to him on the download?
No.
Why not, man? It was a really good episode.
I couldn't contribute to those numbers.
So first of all, you didn't need to, because 1.4 million views on the YouTube last I checked. So
on the YouTube.
It was a good episode in that the cool thing too was, first of all, he didn't play his character. He was himself. He was I can't remember what his damn name is right now, but anyway, he wasn't Cletus, but even though Junior kept calling him Cletus. But he had good answers for stuff. He talked about YouTube and how basically he essentially sold everything he had, or was down to zero twice to get where he's at now. He also, at the end of the episode, turned things around and said, well, I got some questions for you. And he asked Junior like 6 questions as well, which was really insightful. Just how to conduct himself, things like that. It was pretty neat. So I thought it was a good episode. So
I will say I watched a lot of the highlights.
Yeah.
So
you probably saw most of the good stuff then.
Well, Junior's podcast, the hard part is they put such good video content out there. I just end up watching all the video content.
Well, that's the thing with me is like if I start I'll avoid watching the clips on social media, because once I start watching the clips, I get annoyed in the episode because then I'm hearing the stuff I already heard. So I won't listen to the podcast. So I try to avoid the clips and then listen to the podcast when I'm in my car. So, but yeah, I thought it was a good episode. My black flag, James. I'm going back to Carson Hocevar. All the people this week that referenced Mark Martin when talking about the way Carson Hocevar raced on Sunday.
Oh my God.
And saying that he should be more like Mark. I want all those people to go on X right now and go to Mark Martin's account. Because you know what you'll find there? You'll find a couple tweets supporting Carson Hocevar.
Yeah.
One of them sharing a video saying
Mark is very online and he's
people
very
don't
aware.
like you for being yourself. F them.
Mark Martin is extremely online.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on.
Mark Martin's a fan of Carson Hocevar, so screw you guys. There you go. You can't complain about no personalities and nobody ruffling feathers and then bitch because Carson Hocevar upset a couple drivers. You just can't. You get one or the other. So.
Oh, that's great.
James, we're going to Circuit of the Americas this weekend.
The short COTA.
We're going to the short COTA. I did see a very not so promising post today by somebody who said they were practicing the configuration on iRacing and said it is they've really taken the best parts of the track out. So hopefully that's not true. Hopefully the racing is good, but they said it was pretty dull without that section. So
it's gotta be built for NASCAR racing. I feel like I feel like we'll be better.
I hope so. Automotive. Jesus Christ. Echopark Automotive Grand Prix this weekend at COTA. The NASCAR Xfinity Series in action with the Focus Health 250. The Craftsman Truck Series is off this weekend. No Craftsman Truck Series race this weekend at COTA. And James, you get the first pick. Who are you picking for the Cup Series at COTA?
Oh, so let me see here. Well, I had a few options.
Yeah.
I'm going with, so here's how I'm pulling my stats. Who are the best drivers with the next gen car on road courses?
Okay. You're going a way different direction than me.
I am
That's
going
cool.
way different direction than you. There's a great list. Shane Van Gisbergen's on there. Michael McDowell, William Byron, Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, all on the list. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, all the names you know.
Yep.
One name that you might not remember. He's flown under the radar until his win at Watkins Glen. But the best average finish in the sport is Chris Buescher. And I'm going to take him. I'm going to see if I can get a win here.
It's a good pick. James, I'm going to go with Trackhouse this week.
But not Shane Van Gisbergen?
Not Shane Van Gisbergen.
You're going with Ross?
Nope.
Whoa. He is not on my list.
I am going with Connor Zilisch. First NASCAR Cup Series race for Connor Zilisch. As long as he makes it past turn 1, man, he might be good here. He might be really good here.
His odds are stupid ridiculous on for gambling. He's the second favorite.
That's funny.
To win this race.
I had to pick him.
I know he won.
He's not going to win this race, but man, would it be so cool if he did.
It would be cool. But he can't. Man,
There's no way he wins this race.
He can't. I'm glad to be wrong.
Same here. I don't know though. He's a really amazing freaking driver.
He's racing the Red Bull car, by the way.
I know that car is sweet looking.
Yep, Red Bull back.
Really excited about that 87 car.
I can't. Okay, here's the thing. Like Shane Van Gisbergen or Connor Zilisch, Shane Van Gisbergen is got to be better. But again, I'm happy to be surprised. It's a monumental feat to win your first race.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it'd be huge. I mean,
Shane did it. So Trackhouse has done it before.
Yep.
I wouldn't put it past him. And he's
going to have good equipment.
He's going to have the good stuff. But that's a 4th car for Trackhouse, which they've never done before.
That's true. I don't know.
I like your pick though. I like it.
If we were going for points, I wouldn't pick him, but because it's just for fun, I'm going with him. So I'll be cheering for the dude all weekend for sure.
Yep.
So probably a good pick for the Xfinity win, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. He'll be up there.
Fantasy League, James, how'd Fantasy League go? I know I'm right in my normal spot.
Yeah. Well, top 3, I was 3rd, Smoking Grill Racing 2nd, and Ranger, the 3-time champ, got the win. Kicked our butts.
I take it Watermelon James is still locked out.
Watermelon James zeroed. Yeah. Yep. We got a handful of zeros. I'm going to give everybody a couple more weeks before I start kicking people out. Yeah. The one that's bumming me out, hopefully he's listening. Freight Train. Yeah. Come on. Make your picks, man. What are you doing? You can't just sit it out now.
No kidding.
Anyway, overall, Ranger in the lead. 362 points. Smoking Grill Racing 2nd. Barron Speedway 3rd. The defending champ Green Eggs and Hamlin is 7th. I am 6th. Eric, you are 9th.
Yep, right in my normal spot.
I'm in slow start mode as well. So
the worst part is I'm in 9th, and there's 6 less people this year than last year. So
yeah, we've got 11 contributors so far. So but it's not too late to start.
Yeah, only 2 races in. Trust me, you'll pass me.
Come on, Freight Train.
Yeah. Let's
go.
Come on. Not just race for wins even. I mean,
I'm going to win this week, so it's fine.
That's
everybody else.
My strategy this year, which obviously it's working out really well because I've been 8th and 9th, or 7th and 8th both weekends. But my strategy is just to go for wins. I don't care about the points. I'm just going for wins.
Yeah, just try to get yeah.
So, but obviously
not rack working up as many wins. Ryan Newman won a lot of races at one time in the season.
Yeah,
you can do that.
Yeah, I don't care about championships. Championships, they don't mean anything, right, Denny Hamlin? Nobody cares about championships.
You can be just like Denny Hamlin, no championships, lots of wins, and you're bitching out a podcast every week.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Fit
it's basically the same person.
Exactly. Bad takes on things. Yeah, I could do that.
You already do.
No problem. Yeah. All set. All sets for success.
It's so good.
James, where can people find you on social media during the week?
James Cush on X.
I'm at T Super Speedway on X. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio. Wherever you found us today, please subscribe for new episodes each and every week. Circuit of the Americas this weekend. We are on the short version of the course. We'll be back next week to discuss how that went and break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.